I'm in Rosalie's playroom, and this is her happy place and mine. Whenever she's over at the house, we will spend a lot of time in this room playing Barbies, playing baby dolls, whatever she wants to play. We have a lot of fun in this tiny little room. And sometimes I look around this room and I experience a measure of toy regret, if you know what I mean. I look at some things I bought that really had a very short shelf life with her. This dragon is a prime example. A couple months ago, we were in a store and she just had to have it. And you know how grandmas and grandpas are. And we broke down and we bought it. And that night, we just had the best time playing with this dragon. All of her baby dolls flew around on it. Even I held her up, holding these wings, and she was flying on her dragon. It was a great time. And that was the last time this dragon was played with. It needs a new home. It needs a kid that'll love it because it was just a momentary thing. I mean, frankly, Rosalie's played longer with cardboard boxes than she did with this dragon. But it made me get to thinking about this time of the year, about how easy it is to overspend, spend money on things that have a relatively short shelf life. Either the child loses interest or maybe it breaks down and it's no use and you can't get replacement parts, and it was fun for the moment, but the fun just didn't last. Well, as I thought about that, and I try to be more cautious of those kind of things so that I'm not constantly overspending and I'm spending money on things that really do last, it got me thinking about the money I've spent that I don't regret. And I want to tell you just a really brief story this morning about some money I've invested that has paid the greatest and richest dividends, and it's my Christmas miracle.
So I'm wondering, in this room, anybody else have a measure of toy regret, the stuff you've bought? Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to do, and it's not just that, you know. I mean, we can overspend, we can buy stuff we really don't need, and we think, you know, why did I spend the money on this? I've done that a lot with cars, you know. I've even done that with houses. Brenda and I were having lunch yesterday, and we were talking. She said, you know, we have a lot of people who own multiple houses that have, you know, they rent them out, they're making money from it. And I said, you know, honey, that's not for us, because every house I've ever bought, it was like right before that house slid off into the seventh hell and just had all kinds of problems where I spent money on broken foundations and messed up plumbing. I mean, the house we're in right now, we've gone through the floor like 4 times to fix this one pipe, and finally we just rerouted it through the ceiling because it was just so costly every time to keep going through our floor and to do that. So I know a lot about wasted money. I'm an authority on wasted money. But there are some things I don't regret, and I've spent money I don't regret, and I want to tell you about really a miracle. And I want to introduce you to a young woman. Her name's Kaya. This is Kaya. I met her Kaya's a little vertically challenged. You can see she's actually standing on a step to be able to look over the podium. Kaya is an indigenous person from the country of Ecuador. Her name in her native language means future. Now, it took a lot of faith for her parents to name her Future, because nothing about her culture suggested she had one. If you know much about Ecuador, I mean, I've talked to you a little bit about this country I've fallen in love with. I was there just a few weeks back. I mean, Ecuador, the indigenous people have pretty much been pushed to the margins of society. If they live in a city, it's typically about 3 families living in a space about the size for one family, or maybe even a single individual. They'll just all be crowded in one apartment. If they're in the country, they may have a lot of land. They may even actually be in mountainous communities, beautiful communities. If you've never been to Ecuador, it looks like Colorado. I mean, just everywhere you look, it's mountainous and it's beautiful. The problem is the indigenous people, though they live on rich farmland, typically in these upper mountain ranges, they don't have water. And so therefore, what little they grow is typically like what we would consider a family garden. Literally, they only produce enough food to feed their own family. And so, as a result, many of the indigenous people live on the very fringes of society. I was there a few weeks back, and I met with a pastor and some members of his church. Of course, that's me in the middle. We're in the hat. They gave me that hat. They also gave me the baskets below. They're very lovely people, very welcoming. Every community we went into, we knew it was desperately poor, but they would always have boiled potatoes and this hot sauce that would light you up. I kid you not. They would roast lima beans, really large lima beans, and they were tasty. And then they have a type of corn that we would kind of consider field corn because it's not sweet corn at all, but they're really large kernels, probably about 4 and 5 times the kernels on a typical ear of corn here. And so we'll go into these communities, but you'll notice in this picture, of course, I'm in the middle. On the far right is our friend Mario. Mario helps to lead the World Vision program that we're sponsoring in La Violeta, but you'll notice that most of the people in Ecuador, I'm a giant among them. And among the indigenous people, this is true. Now, you know why that is, don't you? This is the evidence of chronic malnutrition for generation after generation after generation. What ends up happening is that people, they're stunted in terms of their growth, their height. They don't. It's not that you will never find a tall indigenous person, but it's a real exception. Most of them are very small people, and it comes from having a poor diet for year after year. Well, back to this story of Kaya. Kaya is a young lady I met when I was just there a few weeks back, and I was speaking at a conference. She was actually the highlight of the conference, the very last speaker. She has gone to this community in La Violeta, where we are sponsoring an educational intervention. The young people are bright. They're eager to learn. As I have found among most of the world's poor, they're very eager to learn. They'll use the most of any opportunity that you give to them, but they're just not given opportunities. Their educational system has been so inferior that hardly anyone among indigenous people can qualify for higher education, even though it's free in the country of Ecuador. So we brought in this program. It's a proven program. It's got a great track record. Helps young people who've been slighted in their education to qualify and meet their entrance exam. Well, Kaya did that. In this program, she said that her self-esteem has been enhanced. You know, I don't know if you know what it's like to be marginalized, but for all of your life, for people to talk down to you, to treat you as inferior, to make you feel like you don't matter, that you can never accomplish anything with your life. This is Kaya. This is this young girl named Future. This has been her existence. But she came into this program and she found out that people believed in her, believed that she had potential. It's also a multicultural program because it's not just the indigenous people. Afro-Ecuadorians are in this program as well. There are people who have fled as refugees from countries like Colombia and Venezuela where there's abundant violence, and they've gone to these neighboring countries to say, just to live, to survive, we have to leave everything we've known. And so these young people are there, and we're investing in them. Kaya was speaking at this conference and telling this story about what she's learned and how she's been encouraged. But then she said this, and I want you to hear this. She said, in this program, we've had visits of peoples from different countries, but especially the people of Springcreek Church. They reached out to help us in things that seemed impossible. Now I know we are not alone. Now I know that God hears our prayers. Now I know that God is a God of miracles. Do you realize, Springcreek Church, you're making miracles happen? She's thanking you. She's saying that these people who've never met me, who cared about me when no one else did, who would care about my future and give me a future, that you would bring a miracle just because of your sacrifice and your gifts that you've sent to Ecuador. Now, here's something we do every year at this time of the year. The last month of the year for most churches tends to be a very blessed month. I mean, people are in this spirit of generosity and giving. They tend to give more in December than most throughout the year. You also have this time of the year where people in certain companies will get year-end bonuses, and they'll give a generous gift to the church. And a lot of churches use this to kind of get in the black, you know, to get in a place where they can say, hey, you know, all the books are looking good and all that. Well, I can tell you this for Springcreek, the books look good. The books look good because we put people in the margins at the front of the line and not the back. We do our giving first, and we say that people like this, people in Ecuador, people in Badagry in Nigeria, these people matter to us a great deal. And though many of us will never go and never see their face, we know that the money we send at Christmas time, the money we invest in ministries like this is creating miracles. And I want to be a part of the miracles. I don't want to just buy flying dragons, okay? I want to be a part in miracles. I want to know that the money that I give to help other people help other people who are not in my situation, help other people who are wanting and desperately hope for a future. I want those people to know that they matter to God and they matter to us, and I want to keep sending that message. So at Christmas time, we dedicate this month to saying, what can we do in the world to make a difference? And so, if you will, in the time that's remaining, we just have a few weeks left till the end of the year. If God has blessed you at this time of the year, if you know that your blessings are tied directly to the fact that we have a Father in heaven who loves us incredibly and provides for us all of our needs, if you would consider giving above and beyond what you normally give to the church, would you designate that toward global missions this month? Because anything and everything that comes in for the rest of the month is all going to go to Ecuador and help create miracles and futures for more Caius. I believe in that. I believe it's worth doing. And I'll tell you what, I really sincerely believe with all of my heart, God blesses Springcreek Church because we care about the people that he cares about the most. And as long as we keep putting them first, we're going to be blessed and taken care of. So we're going to lead this way, and we're going to do church this way, and we're going to show our people that it's compassion that really does create change. It is this heart that overflows because we know we have been blessed beyond measure. So Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you for creating this miracle for Kaya. Let's create some more miracles.